is erosion. False. Democrats did not create the problem. So stop saying it to the media. Maybe they would understand. Democrats voted down the project. Democrats did not vote down the project. Look at the record from July 14th. Not one single legislator in these chambers voted no on the project. Not one. Every legislator in these chambers voted for the project. Misleading information. Legislators continue to prioritize politics over economic and environmental responsibility, putting both taxpayers and two beautiful parks at risk. Did anyone from the administration or the majority talk to us after the July 23rd correspondence or communication from the Corps of Engineers? No. You want a partner in government? Then you got to start treating people as partners in government. Furthermore, there is a disagreement on whether or not this project can be done a different way. You heard information at the July 14th legislative session that there is information and that we can do it a different way. It was presented after the Ways and Means Committee meeting that other counties do these projects in a different way. They do not bond for every single capital improvement project. They do not bond 100% of the capital improvement project when it is partially funded by some other government like the state or the federal. This project's 100% funded by the state government. This project is $250 and $500, a mere 0.025% of $1 billion operating budget. 0.025%.
Mr. President.
What's your point of order?
My point of order is that both of my hearing aids are rattling in my head. Could we discuss this without raising the decibels to a county level?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The reality is there is a different way. And indeed, if you look at bond counsel's opinion, bond counsel says there's two ways to do these projects. One is to appropriate revenues, and the second is to bond for the project. There are two ways. That's bond counsel's memo. That's not Democrats' memo. That's bond counsel's memo. We can find $1.5 million for Renaissance Square. We can't find $250, $500 for this project instead of putting up fences and parks. There is another way. You have two choices tonight. You can also try to find and cooperate with the other side of the aisle and use the other way. I will not be supporting this bonding resolution because this county, with the lowest bond rating in the entire state of all counties, cannot afford to continue to borrow for every single project. It is a very important project, we all agree. It's important because a lot of our citizens utilize these parks. It's important because we believe in the environment. And if you want to stop playing politics with this issue, I don't want to see robocalls or hear them in my district tomorrow because I have a Republican opponent this year. And by the way, I got to speak to roughly 50 voters, all of them with the record clear, so thank you, I don't have to knock on their door. Let's not politicize this. There is a different way to do this project. I support this project for the very reasons that the administration said. We need to stabilize the banks of Arundecourt Creek. I support the environment. I support taxpayers going to our parks and being able to utilize them. I don't support being bullied in this way, and I will not vote for this bonding.
Mr. Haney.
Mr. President, as Casey Stengel would say at a moment like this is deja vu all over again. We went through this entire charade 5 weeks ago tonight. The only new information tonight is the good news that Mr. Staub brings us, that the Army Corps of Engineers is now prepared to put additional money into the project. And that is indeed good news. So we'll be able to expand the size of the project by 2/3. So I say, Mr. President, let's get on with it. Let's put the shovel in the ground tomorrow. This legislature, 5 weeks ago tonight, voted to approve the project. This legislature, I think it was 29 of us present that night, but all of us who were present, voted 5 weeks ago tonight to accept the $250,000 state grant. We've got the money, we've got the authorization for the project. Let's do it. Instead of sitting around gumming ourselves to death on an issue of authorizing bonding whose main rationale appears to be, and I quote, we should do what we've done over and over and over in the past. End of quote. Mr. President, this county has the worst bond ratings of any county in the state of New York. Something has gotten us into this mess. And I suggest to this honorable body that it's, quote, doing what we've done over and over and over again. End of quote. It's time, Mr. President, if we're ever going to sort out the financial mess that is the county of Monroe, it is time, Mr. President, to start doing business differently. And to start doing it in ways different than, quote, doing what we've done over and over and over in the past, end of quote. Now, what are the facts? The facts are that we've already approved the project. The facts are that we've approved accepting the $250,500 grant from the state of New York. Put the shovel in the ground. Now this issue that, well, before we start any kind of a capital project, we've also got to approve a bond resolution. Even though there's lots of other counties in the state that don't operate that way. And indeed, we've presented to this honorable body examples from Erie County and Onondaga County, from Westchester and Orange and Nassau and Suffolk, none of which do this. And all, with the exception of Erie, have better credit ratings than we do. I suggest, Mr. President, there's a message there. And there is precedent in this body for doing this without a bond resolution. Oddly enough, Mr. President, it was exactly 3 years ago, in August of 2006, that a proposal was brought before this body to replace the playing field at Frontier Field.